Shalom, it's me, that is Zylyn, and today I'm going to come to you with the parashah reading of Exodus chapter 6, verse 2 through Exodus chapter 9, verse 35, Va'era, which means and I appeared or and he appeared. Also, you can find the half Torah in Ezekiel chapter 28, 25 through chapter 29, 21. And another thematic connection can be found in Psalms 106. Now, without further ado, we're going to go through how Yahweh Almighty, the only Elohim God of Yisrael, trumped, defeated, destroyed, and abolished all deities that are man-made gods. And our reader today is going to be Zylyn, Baht of Yisrael. 114, count me in. All right, family, let's go ahead and get started. First reading is going to be Exodus chapter 6, verse 2 through verse 7. Tamchi.
Yahweh spoke to Moses and said to him, I am the Elohim. I appeared to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob as El Shaddai, but I did not make myself known to them by my name, Yahweh. I also established my covenant with them to give them the land of Canaan, the land in which they lived as sojourners. I have now heard the moaning of the Israelites because the Egyptians are holding them in bondage. I have remembered my covenant. Say therefore to the Israelite people, I am Elohim. I will free you from the labors of the Egyptians and deliver you from their bondage. I will redeem you with an outstretched arm and through extraordinary chastisement, and I will take you to be my people, and I will be your Elohim. And you shall know that I, the Lord, am your God, who freed you from the labors of the Egyptians.
Wonderful, wonderful. So the first thing we want to pay attention to in that beautiful precept is going to be where Yahweh reminded Moshe of the covenant he made with our forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, as him being the Al Shaddai of all of Israel, to a clue of other nations, whether they know him or they do not. Yahweh is the only strong power that we have. And he rescued the Israelites from slavery on his own. Tamchi.
I will bring you into the land which I swore to give to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and I will give it to you for a possession, I, the Lord. But when Moshe told this to the Israelites, they would not listen to him, their spirits crushed by cruel bondage. Elohim spoke to Moshe, saying, Go and tell Pharaoh, king of Egypt, to let the Israelites depart from his land. But Moshe appealed to Elohim, saying, The Israelites would not listen to me. How then should Pharaoh heed me, a man of impeded speech? So Elohim spoke to both Moshe and Aaron in regard to the Israelites and Pharaoh, king of Egypt, instructing them to deliver the Israelites from the land of Egypt.
TORAH. Now, everybody, you know how our own people do. We are so rebellious. We don't want somebody telling us something, or especially something that we ain't never heard about before. So we ready to nut and buck back, with rules. And sometimes it's hard for us to take orders, especially from one of our own. So that rebuttal, it had Moshe on the defense. He was like, well, dang, if they not listening to me, and I'm a man of impaired speech, how do you think Pharaoh gonna listen to me? But Yahweh quickly analyzed that, okay? All right now. So as we already know from last week's parashah, Yahweh delivered the message through Aaron. So he used Aaron as the mouthpiece for Moshe. So in the other precept we just stated, he was so like Moshe was questioning about, well, how am I supposed to do this? How am I supposed to say this if they don't listen? So Yahweh, he acknowledged that, and he responded by speaking both to Moshe and Aaron. Khan. And also in further precepts down, he listed the heads of their respective clans from each tribe. Khan. All right now. So we're going to go ahead and continue our reading in chapter 7, verse 1 through 4. Tamchi.
Elohim replied to Moshe, "See, I place you in the role of God to Pharaoh, with your brother Aaron as your prophet. You shall repeat all that I command you, and your brother Aaron shall speak to Pharaoh to let the Israelites depart from his land. But I will harden Pharaoh's heart, that I may multiply my signs and marvels in the land of Egypt. When Pharaoh does not heed you, I will lay my hand upon Egypt and deliver my reins, my people, the Israelites, from the land of Egypt with an extraordinary chastisement."
Torah. So, family, as she just stated, Yahweh said to Moshe that he is going to harden the heart of Pharaoh, Khan, and he is doing that so he can display his powers and his works and show to Israel, to include the Egyptians now that are holding Israelites captive, Khan, of him being the only savior or Mawashiach of all nations, not just one. There's no power in other deities, known as those pagan gods that y'all built. Khan, so we're going to go ahead and go over Exodus chapter 7, verse 8 through 19. But we're going to break them down in sections. Tamchi.
Elohim said to Moshe and Aaron, "When Pharaoh speaks to you and says, 'Produce your marvel,' you shall say to Aaron, 'Take your rod and cast it down before Pharaoh. It shall turn into a serpent.'" So Moshe and Aaron came before Pharaoh and did just as Elohim had commanded. Aaron cast down his rod in the presence of Pharaoh and his courtiers.
Courtiers.
It turned into a serpent. Then Pharaoh, for his part, summoned the wise men and the sorcerers, and the Egyptian magicians, in turn, did the same with their spells.
Hold that right there. Now, what I do want to point out in verse 11, and I have to make it very, 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 very clear, okay? He enlisted magicians who were practicing sorcery. And we all know that sorcery is witchcraft. That's demonic. Okay? So it would only be right if I point that out and also tie into the fact that worshiping other gods and other things like that is a point of sorcery as well. Because why would you think that any power is derived from either wood or stone? Okay? But let's continue upon plague 1. Tamchi.
And Elohim said to Moshe, "Pharaoh is stubborn. He refuses to let the people go. Go to Pharaoh in the morning as he is coming out to the water, and station yourself before him at the edge of the Nile, taking with you the rod that turned into a snake. And say to him, 'Elohim, the God of Hebrews, sent me to you to say, let my people go that they may worship me in the wilderness. But you have paid no heed until now. Thus says Elohim, by this you shall know that I am the Lord. See, I shall strike the water in the Nile with the rod that is in my hand, and it will be turned into blood. And the fish in the Nile will die. The Nile will stink so that the Egyptians will find it impossible to drink the water of the Nile.' And Elohim said to Moshe, say to Aaron, take your rod and hold out your arm over the waters of Egypt, its rivers, its canals, its ponds, all its bodies of water, that they may turn to blood. There shall be blood throughout the land of Egypt, even in vessels of wood and stone."
So now, in the first plague, Yahweh is demonstrating his almighty power against one of the false gods or deity, but especially God with a lowercase g. And that's going to be Happy. Okay? Now, Happy is a male god with breast. Okay? All right. He is the deity of the Nile River, has a twin deity, Ruach, which is a representation of upper and lower Nile. The people of Egypt thought the Nile brought them great wealth and prosperity due to the rich soil. So, riddle me this. God, if this deity or God, Happy now, or Happy, however you want to say it, has any type of power, why didn't he use his power to go against Yahweh and stop that blood in that water and having all the fishes die? He couldn't do that. God, he had to enlist the help of men, which is the magicians, to come over there and reverse what Yahweh did, so the water can remain drinkable. So why should a deity have to rely on man to help him if you're supposed to rely on the deity to save you? That means there's no power there within that false God. Okay? All right, now if you pay close attention to precept 19 from that same chapter, Yahweh firmly stated, can you please read that again for me?
And Elohim said to Moshe, say to Aaron, take your rod and hold out your arm over the waters of Egypt, its rivers, its canals, its ponds, all its bodies of water, that they may turn to blood. There shall be blood throughout the land of Egypt, even in vessels of wood and stone.
Now, Yahweh said in vessels of wood and stone. Who do you know that is a so-called legendary deity that is hung on the cross for all to see? JC or the Black Yahusha. There's no life there. The stone. What religion worships the stone? Muslims. Okay. Now, if Yahweh is telling you that he will put blood through those vessels, blood is a form of death. So that means, once again, that wood and that stone has no power above Yahweh. Not even any power to match Yahweh's. All right, because only one true power is in Yahweh, Akkad. Tamchi.
When 7 days had passed after Elohim struck the Nile, Elohim said to Moshe, go to Pharaoh and say to him, thus says Elohim, let my people go that they may worship me. If you refuse to let them go, then I will plague your whole country with frogs. The Nile shall swarm with frogs, and they shall come up and enter your palace, your bedchamber, your bed, the houses of your courtiers, and your people, and your ovens, and your kneading bowls. The frogs shall come up on you and on your people, and all your courtiers. And Elohim said to Moshe, say to Aaron, hold out your arm with the rod over the rivers, the canals, and the ponds, and bring up the frogs on the land of Egypt. Aaron held out his arm over the waters of Egypt, and the frogs came up and covered the land of Egypt. But the magicians did the same with their spells, and brought frogs upon the land of Egypt. Then Pharaoh summoned Moshe and Aaron and said, plead with Elohim to remove the frogs from me and my people, and I will let the people go to sacrifice to Elohim. And Moshe said to Pharaoh, you may have this triumph over me. For what time shall I plead in behalf of you and your courtiers and your people, that the frogs be cut off from you and your houses, to remain only in the Nile? For tomorrow, he replied. And Moshe said, as you say, that you may know that there is none like the Elohim our God. The frogs shall retreat from you and your courtiers and your people. They shall remain only in the Nile. Then Moshe and Aaron left Pharaoh's presence. And Moshe cried out to Elohim in the matter of the frogs, which he had inflicted upon Pharaoh. And Elohim did as Moshe asked. The frogs died out in the houses, the courtyards, and the fields, and they piled them up in heaps till the land stank. But when Pharaoh saw that there was relief, he became stubborn and would not heed them, as Elohim had spoken.
Torah. Now, the frogs is going to represent your pagan god, Kemit, which is a frog-headed goddess, and she represents childbirth and is believed to protect the kids. Now, once again, if this deity has so much power and jurisdiction in that area, why couldn't this deity make those frogs go back into the Nile River when Yahweh called them out? There's no power there. To include, if you notice, Yahweh, he could have very well said, hey, Moshe, you came and you begging and pleaded for me not to do this act no longer. And he said, okay, fine. But he could have very well had those frogs retreat back to the Nile River. Yahweh didn't do that. He left them frogs right there and let them frogs die. So the Egyptians can go and put them in a pile, and Babylon can have stench upon itself. Now, in other precepts we have in our beautiful Torah and Tanakh, it does state that Babylon will have a stench upon her own self. So the best thing that we can do as righteous people is keep the laws and the commandment and sweep evil out of our midst. But majority of Babylon, we're failing in that area. All right now, so don't act like we're not, because we are. All right, Tamchi.
Then Elohim said to Moshe, say to Aaron, hold out your rod and strike the dust of the earth, and it shall turn to lice throughout the land of Egypt. And they did so. Aaron held out his arm with the rod and struck the dust of the earth, and vermin came upon man and beast. All the dust of the earth turned to lice throughout the land of Egypt. The magicians did the like with their spells to produce lice, but they could not. The vermin remained upon man and beast. And the magician said to Pharaoh, this is the finger of God. But Pharaoh's heart stiffened and he would not heed them, as Elohim had spoken.
All right, Tamchi. So, one more thing I want to point about that as far as this deity is going to be Geb. Now, if you notice, Aaron, he took his rod and he struck the earth, right? And all the dust came up and it's made the lice and the gnats and things of that nature. Now, Geb is supposed to be the god of the earth. That's what he's supposed to be, right? So if he's the god of the earth and stuff and can control the dust and all that type of stuff like that, why he didn't control the dust when Aaron's rod went like that and all the dust came up and made lice and gnats and stuff like that? Why he ain't control the dust if he has ownership and jurisdiction? Slot. That means he ain't got no dang power. Because ain't no way you gonna be a god of something and somebody step their foot over your territory and they do something disrespectful to you and you can't fight for what it is that people saying that you can fight for that you do. It don't make no sense. So once again, y'all need to stop playing with these little idols, because they don't got no power at all. Ask JC, he's still dead. Tamchi.
Elohim said to Moshe, early in the morning present yourself to Pharaoh, as he is coming out to the water, and say to him, thus says Elohim, let my people go that they may worship me. For if you do not let my people go, I will let loose swarms of insects against you and your courtiers, and your people and your houses. The houses of the Egyptians and the very ground they stand on shall be filled with swarms of insects. But on that day I will set apart the region of Goshen, where my people dwell, so that no swarms of insects shall be there, that you may know that I, Elohim, am in the midst of the land. And I will make a distinction between my people and your people. Tomorrow this sign shall come to pass. And Elohim did so. Heavy swarms of insects invaded Pharaoh's palace and the house of his courtiers throughout the country of Egypt. The land was ruined because of the swarms of insects.
Hold on. So that next deity, Khan, is going to be Kepri. Okay? And that's going to be the scarab god, Salah. Scarab god. So, with that being said, now Yahweh, he protected his Israelites by setting them into an area or city, Goshen, okay, for their protection, while he sent all these scarab beetles, okay, to that area. Now, if Capri or Kepri is the scarab beetle god or deity, why couldn't he stop his own insects that came from him and all that type of stuff, crush them and stop them so they don't take hold of the people, the Egyptians, and all that type of stuff? Now, I think that's quite embarrassing if you are a god of such insects like this and they swarming and getting all out of control and you can't get them back to you. You can't. Here, boy, you can't do none of that. They ain't coming back to you. That's an embarrassment. So I don't know why these Egyptians ain't looking at that like, well, dang, ain't no power in my God. Whoa, Yahweh, you got another point. You know what I'm saying? That's sad. How you let Yahweh come in and score 3 points on you? Well, we had played 4, so 4 points on you. How? That ain't right. Especially when you playing and all this other stuff to this fake deity. Why your deity ain't on your side? Y'all come in and shaking tables and pulling chairs. That's a problem for y'all. Okay? So once again, there's no power in none of these deities. Y'all need to stop doing that. And why would you want to be a god over bugs? That's crazy. Tamchi.
Elohim said to Moshe, "Go to Pharaoh and say to him, thus says Yahweh, the Elohim of the Hebrews, let my people go to worship me. For if you refuse to let them go and continue to hold them, then the hand of Yahweh will strike your livestock in the fields, the horses, the asses, the camels, the cattle, and the sheep, with a very severe pestilence. But Elohim will make a distinction between the livestock of Israel and the livestock of the Egyptians, so that nothing shall die of all that belongs to the Israelites. Elohim has fixed the time. Tomorrow Yahweh will do this thing in the land." And Elohim did so the next day. All the livestock of the Egyptians died, but of the livestock of the Israelites not a beast died.
TORAH. So, plague 5. This so-called god is going to be Patah or Hathor. Okay? And that's the cattle god. For there's going to be various gods of livestock. Horses, asses, the camels, the cattle, and the sheep. So you mean to tell me all these gods now, they're supposed to be covering all these different livestock. They can't fight one Elohim god? That's what you mean to tell me. All y'all got different know-how and different so-called powers and stuff with different things. All y'all couldn't team up and fight one Elohim God. Okay? That's like some of them videos I've been seeing. These people, they be trying to jump people with 4, 5 people in the group, only jumping one person, and that one person whoop all they butt. That's what that is like. And don't act like you don't know because you know because our people do this. Don't act like you do not know. So that's what they should have done right here. But I'm telling you, if they would have done that to y'all, y'all would have whooped them all. Okay? All right now. So that's to tell y'all something. If one deity can't fight Yahweh in its own jurisdiction, and 5 more can't fight Yahweh in their own jurisdiction, then that means them deities ain't got no power. That's what I'm figuring out. Because ain't no way you got to try to do that to me and boy, bye. No, because if I believe, y'all should be like us, like Torah to not only. If you believe in your Elohim or your false deity that you got, right? Y'all should stand out boldly for him like a lion. Fight for him. Fight for that man. Y'all ain't doing none of that. I promise you, I ain't doing none of that. Y'all watching these videos, though. I promise you, y'all doing that and wondering like, that ain't why that is be going up on us about our false God because he's a false God. That's why. God. Let's move on to plague 6. Tamchi.
Then Yahweh said to Moshe and Aaron, Each of you take handfuls of soot from the kiln, and let Moshe throw it toward the sky in the sight of Pharaoh. It shall become a fine dust all over the land of Egypt, and cause an inflammation, breaking out in boils on man and beast throughout the land of Egypt. So they took soot of the kiln and appeared before Pharaoh. Moshe threw it toward the sky, and it caused an inflammation, breaking out in boils on man and beast. The Egyptians were unable to confront Moshe because of the inflammation, for the inflammation afflicted the magicians as well as the other Salakia. For the inflammation afflicted the magicians as well as the other Egyptians. But Elohim stiffened the heart of Pharaoh, and he would not heed them, just as Yahweh had told Moshe.
Torah. Now, your plague 6 is going to be the goddess of medicine named Isis or Aset or Uset. Khan, Aset, Salah, and peace, right? Now, if she is the goddess of medicine and peace, why couldn't she provide any medicine for these men and these beasts when they was getting them abscess, which we would know, but in that time it was called boils, Khan, but it was getting these things on them. Why she ain't have no cure? Why she ain't had no medication? You know, all she had to do was reach over on one of them branches and break one of them daggone aloe vera plants and put it on them. She couldn't do that. Huh? Wanna know why? Why? Because she ain't got no power. She ain't real. She just made a stone. Okay. Okay? It can't do nothing. So Yahweh had to come down and show y'all that, hey, there is not no power over here. Watch me put bulls on you. And if y'all, I know sometimes y'all be having them bulls on your crack ear. I know that'd be uncomfortable. I know that'd be uncomfortable, especially with a pot. I ain't never had no bull there, but I'm just telling you, I know somebody that did. And that's sad because that thing popped and it bled. So I know a bull is real when I see one. And these people are Egyptian, these Egyptians, they saw them bulls too. They felt them too, but they ain't have no cure. Because Isis was not with them. All right, let's continue. Tamchi.
Yahweh said to Moshe, hold out your arm toward the sky, that hail may fall on all the land of Egypt, upon man and beast, and all the grasses of the field in the land of Egypt. So Moshe held out his rod toward the sky, and Elohim sent thunder and hail, and fire streamed down to the ground, as Yahweh rained down hail upon the land of Egypt. The hail was very heavy, fire flashing in the midst of the hail, such as had not fallen on the land of Egypt since it had become a nation. Throughout the land of Egypt, the hail struck down all that were in the open, both man and beast. The hail also struck down all the grasses of the field, that shattered all the trees, Salakia, and shattered all the trees of the field. Only in the region of Goshen, where the Israelites were, there was no hail.
Torah. So plague 7, is going to be the goddess of the sky named Nut. Now, if you are a goddess of the sky now, that means you up there above everything. So why you can't stop no hell? I don't understand. Why you can't do that? It sounds like somebody give you too much credit. That's what I would think. Now, family. This is actually going to be the end of our Torah portion, So I do want to leave you with this. Any of you Messianics listening to this today on this Shabbat lesson, please be truly advised that Yahweh boldly stated throughout this whole Torah portion that no deities are above him. He went through 7 whole plagues, throughout this parashat portion today. Now, next week's parashat portion, he's going to go through plague 8, plague 9, and plague 10. Just to get you ready, I'm going to go ahead and let you know what you're going to be up for. And now, plague 8 is going to be a direct diss towards Osiris, which is the god of the underworld. Plague 9 is going to be a direct diss towards Ra, Atum, Aman, gods of sun life, and creation. Plague 10 is going to be a direct diss towards Anubis, the god of death. Okay, so quick question, because I want y'all to answer me in this in the comment section, because better Zion like riddles. This is going to be a second riddle. Anubis, if he is so called the god of the dead, why once again he had to bring JC back? Why he had to bring Yahusha back? And if he did, like y'all want to say, oh, he rose on the third day. If he really rose, where is he? Where is he? Because the world is still in torment, and Yahweh is still purging. Okay, so that leads me back to Zion in my co-reader over here, Zylyn, Baht of Yisrael, to confirm boldly now that there is no more deities, not man deities, never was a deity, no other power other than the only power, Yahweh, Eloheka of Yisrael. Now, I want to also state this, family. Please denounce all those gods if you're worshiping them. And adhere to Exodus 23, verse 13, where you are not to have any other deities' names on your lips. The deities' names were on my lips only for today's parashah reading to give you education. And that is only. And guess what? They will be denounced today. Shalom, Berakai.